IELTS Speaking Test Band 9. Practice Shadowing. Part 1. Do you enjoy reading?
Absolutely. I'm an avid reader. I find that getting lost in a good book is the perfect way to unwind after a hectic day. It offers a form of escapism that movies or television just can't match.
What kind of books do you like to read?
My taste is quite eclectic. I tend to gravitate towards contemporary fiction because I enjoy exploring modern themes and character dynamics. However, I also occasionally dabble in non-fiction, particularly biographies, as I find real-life struggles quite inspiring.
Did you read a lot when you were a child?
Yes, I was a bit of a bookworm growing up. My parents always encouraged me to read, so I was constantly devouring adventure novels and fantasy series. It definitely helped broaden my imagination at a young age.
Do you prefer reading physical books or ebooks?
While I acknowledge the convenience of ebooks, especially for travel, I'm a traditionalist at heart. I prefer the tactile experience of turning pages and the smell of paper. There's something very nostalgic and grounding about holding a physical book.
Do you usually read for leisure or for work or study purposes?
Ideally, I read for leisure, but lately, due to my workload, most of my reading has been utilitarian, mostly academic journals or reports. I'm trying to carve out more time for pleasure reading on weekends, though.
Have you ever given a book as a gift?
Frequently, I think a book is a very thoughtful present because it shows you know the person's interests. Just last month, I gifted a compelling mystery novel to a friend who loves the genre, and she hasn't stopped talking about it since.
What is your favorite part of the day?
Without a doubt, it's the early morning. I'm an early bird, and I cherish the solitude before the rest of the world wakes up. It's a peaceful time when I can sip my coffee, gather my thoughts, and plan my schedule without any distractions. It really sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Do you have a fixed routine every day?
On weekdays, yes. I'm very much a creature of habit. Having a structured regimen helps me stay productive and manage my workload efficiently. However, on weekends, I prefer to be more flexible and play it by ear, allowing for a bit of spontaneity and relaxation.
How do you organize your time?
I rely heavily on digital tools. I use a calendar app to synchronize my appointments across all my devices and employ time-blocking techniques to ensure I focus on specific tasks. I also make a prioritized to-do list every evening for the following day, which prevents me from feeling overwhelmed.
Do you write a lot?
In a professional capacity, yes. My work involves a significant amount of correspondence, drafting reports, and creating presentations outside of work. I occasionally journal to clear my head, but I wouldn't say I write creatively as much as I used to.
Do you prefer typing or writing by hand?
It depends entirely on the context. For work and speed, typing is indispensable. It's just far more efficient for editing and sharing. However, for studying or brainstorming ideas, I prefer putting pen to paper. I find that the physical act of writing helps me retain information better and stimulates my creativity in a way that a keyboard cannot.
Would you like to write a book someday?
I have always harbored a dream of writing a novel, perhaps later in life. However, I am fully aware that it is a daunting task that requires immense discipline and patience. I have a few fragmented ideas floating around, but I haven't yet found the narrative thread to tie them all together into a cohesive story.
Part 2. Describe a book that you read recently and found interesting. You should say what the book is, who wrote it, what it is about, and explain why you found it interesting.
I'd like to talk about a book I finished just a couple of weeks ago called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, written by the historian Yuval Noah Harari. It's been quite a literary sensation recently, so I felt compelled to see what all the fuss was about. Essentially, the book is a sweeping narrative of human history, but it's not your typical dull history textbook. It chronicles the evolution of our species from the Stone Age up to the 21st century. Harari explores how Homo sapiens came to dominate the planet, delving into the cognitive, agricultural, and scientific revolutions. What I found truly captivating about this book was the author's ability to synthesize complex historical events into engaging, almost conversational narratives. He challenges many preconceived notions we have about human progress. For instance, he posits that the agricultural revolution was actually a trap that made life harder for individuals, despite allowing the population to grow, a perspective I had never considered before. The book is thought-provoking and intellectually stimulating. It didn't just inform me about the past, it made me question the present and fear for the future. The way Harari connects biology, history, and economics is simply masterful. I found it interesting because it provided a macro perspective on humanity that is rarely discussed in such an accessible way. It's definitely a page-turner for anyone interested in why we are the way we are.
Part 3. In your opinion, why is it important for adults to continue reading, not just children?
Reading is crucial for cognitive maintenance. For adults, it keeps the mind sharp and can actually maintain neuroplasticity. Beyond that, reading fosters empathy. When we read fiction, we step into someone else's shoes, which helps us understand diverse perspectives and cultures, something that is increasingly vital in our globalized world.
How have reading habits changed in your country over the last few decades?
There has been a seismic shift. Decades ago, reading newspapers and novels was a primary pastime. Nowadays, with the advent of the internet, attention spans have shortened. People tend to skim short articles or social media posts rather than engaging in deep reading. While people might actually be reading more words per day, the quality and depth of that engagement have arguably declined.
Do you think libraries will disappear in the future due to digital technology?
I firmly believe they won't disappear, but they will and must evolve. Libraries are no longer just repositories for books. They are becoming community hubs for digital literacy, quiet study, and cultural events. While the tangible book collection might shrink, the role of the library as a democratic space for free information access remains indispensable.
Some people say that literature is losing its value in the modern world. Do you agree?
I would have to respectfully disagree. While the medium of consumption is changing, perhaps moving from classic novels to audiobooks or serialized online storytelling, the human desire for narrative is innate and timeless. Literature helps us make sense of the human condition. In times of crisis, people often turn to poetry and stories for solace, which proves its enduring relevance.
Should writers focus more on entertainment or on conveying a moral message?
That's a delicate balance. If a book is purely didactic or preachy, it becomes tedious and fails to engage the reader. Conversely, if it's purely entertainment without substance, it might be forgotten instantly. I think the most profound literature weaves moral questions subtly into a compelling plot, allowing readers to draw their own conclusions without feeling lectured.
How does reading fiction contribute to a person's emotional intelligence?
Fiction acts as a flight simulator for social life. It exposes readers to complex emotional scenarios and inner monologues of characters they might never meet in real life. By navigating these fictional emotional landscapes, readers practice deciphering social cues and understanding motivations, which translates directly into better interpersonal skills and heightened emotional quotient in reality.